We're being controlled by whites here. Even the little political freedom we got in 1994, Cyril has surrendered that power back into whiteness.
Now the thing is this, the police will not want you to testify against somebody unless you have said something incriminating about that person.
That when he comes back to be president, he can not be bribable.
Ramaphosa was born on November 17, 1952 in Soweto, Johannesburg. He was born, in the apartheid times, and his father was Samuel Ramaphosa, and his mother was Edmet Ramaphosa. His father was a police officer in the apartheid times, so that already is suspicious, because how is your father enforcing the apartheid government ways, like only his own people, or like people that they grow around, and like how can he live with himself doing the dirty job for the apartheid government, basically? So that raises our eyebrows. And his parents are a vendor. They moved from Venda to Joburg, right? And Ramaphosa is one of three children, and he's the second born. He went to school to go study law, and somehow he found himself in politics. And that's the thing, because everybody don't get how he got himself to politics and how he made a name for himself, and why is he so connected with all these white people.
Cyril Ramaphosa is a creation of big business. They created. I once asked one of the bankers, one of my banker friends, I was saying to him that we were talking about Jacob Zuma and this very senior banking man. And I said to him, well, at least Jacob Zuma pays attention to you business people. He's given you Cyril Ramaphosa in a high level of power in the ANC. He turned around to me and said, Cyril is no businessman. We know where he got his money from. So these are the crony capitalists that were created by black economic empowerment. They have zero constituency in the ANC and in the black population. So they are not going to split.
So that on its own is like, it raises questions, because it's like how can everyone not know how you got where you at right now? So it raises a lot of questions. So yeah, and there's always this thing that Julius Malema and Likota speak about, like, why didn't Cyril Ramaphosa go to Robben Island?
He confessed, even in Parliament, that his father used to come to jail to ask him and persuade him to testify against us. So I asked him the question, when your father asked you to go and testify against us, what is it that you had said in your statement that you would go and confirm under oath? What is it? Because the security police won't say, come and testify, if there's not something you have said against the accused. So, what is it that they wanted you to go and confirm for the court? He's never answered me to this day.
Have you ever spoken to him privately about this?
No, I spoke to him. We were there in the court, in Parliament.
Right.
In Parliament,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I was speaking there under oath, and he was also speaking under oath. It was for him to challenge me in those circumstances to deny, to say what he had done and so on. And so I said, no, I'm very, very sorry. You betrayed us at a critical moment.
Why did he not go to Robben Island too? Because Lekota speaks a lot about this, and listening to his videos and the way he speaks about it, he's also like, why did he not go? And why was he also mentioned as a witness, or why was he also questioned about those things that they were arrested for? And it's also like really weird, because like, why were you just questioned and us arrested? It does not make any sense. So, and some people believe that his father told him to speak or to tell the truth and say what's needed to be said, so his son can get away scot-free, you know.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Last week, the President was on this spot here when he invited me, among others, to join him. I don't know to what trip. I do want to say to the President today, I was a bit puzzled that you introduced Roosevelt in all of that you spoke about. I'd like to say we must come back to South Africa, because I was never in the United States to struggle. We struggled here. And I do want to say to you, Mr. President, that we were invited on a trip of struggle by the preeminent leader of the students of our time, the late Steve Biko, who said to us that we must fight the struggle, and said that, and I quote, in case of danger or living conditions that threaten human life, we must accept life for what it is or not at all. It did not take very long, 2 years or so, because that was around 72. In about 1974, we went into detention, among others. And in the course of that, we had to respond to this challenge. And I want to say to you, you invited me last week. We had to respond to that challenge. Your invitation last week was late. The challenge we had to respond to was that time. And you, with us in detention, when it was difficult, you wrote to the special branch that we put communist ideas in your head. In doing so, you condemned us to the special branch. The special branch rewarded you as they always reward their victims, and they sent you home. And we headed to Robben Island. You should have respected this invitation that you are issuing on Friday. You should have issued it then. We should have traveled together to the island to serve years for the struggle of our people. I will not join you in the trip that you are suggesting. I will not join you because you made your choice there.
Honorable Malema.
We want to offer Honorable Lekota 8 minutes of the EFF, which is remaining. Is it allowed, Chair?
That is not allowed, sir. Please take your seat.
Okay, but can
that is not a point of order.
To extend his time, please.
No. Honorable
this
Lekota.
issue of selling out is very important.
Well, the only point I wanted to make was that was the time the choices were made. I made my choice to go down with our people. You made your choice to go with them. Now you are inviting us to join you in the corruption of Bosasa, in the corruption of all of these things you've been doing with the others. I'm sorry, sir. I will stay with the people in Khayelitsha, in Chiawelo and Soweto and so on. The day we get out of there, it will not be to go to the flesh path of Egypt. It will be to go with our people when freedom is there for everybody. I thank you. I'm grateful you're a billionaire. Keep the billionaires and thank you for them. But we are not going to be part with you. I'm not joining that trade.
Thank you, sir.
And also the thing is, most people are also confused about Ramaphosa's job. It's like, this guy, how did he get close to Mandela? How did he get there?
Oh, we questioned, where does this man come from? I didn't even know whether this man is a politician or what. I only saw him when he went to receive Mandela with an umbrella carrying. I didn't know whether he's a bodyguard or what. We didn't know that man.
So it's true that at some point, Ubaba Oliver Tambo asked to Ubani.
Exactly. Everybody questioned. We also questioned ourselves.
See him for the first time?
For the first time. Read his struggle credentials. You can't find Cyril political. People are imposing things on Cyril. Cyril is telling them he was a leader of a church, youth church. He was never anywhere political. He was planted on us.
But then I heard that when he was at the University of Limpopo, he was with Botera, and they were also, at some point, they had problems with the apartheid.
Cyril, that part is not read well. Cyril was planted to a hotel. Hence, he was not released. Remember, this is a son of a police sergeant of the old system. And Cyril was also a constable in the old same system. He was even awarded with the award, I don't know for what, maybe for pimping or something. Because there was no policeman who was awarded during the apartheid system. A black policeman was not recognized by the government. Hey. So we fought that part.
And Chris Hani was not happy.
He was not happy. Just imagine, Umkhonto Wesizwe gets disbanded in 1993. Ask what are we doing that time? That time was still in the bush. We were training soldiers. We were preparing soldiers so that if the white minority regime can change its minds, at least there are forces
and there
that can.
Also questions that Julius raised, and like, how did he form a union for people who are mining when he has never been a mine worker? How? Why is he speaking for the people in the mine when he never even been in a mine? And that also is like, okay, how did you get there? And like, there's a lot of people who are really confused and like, oh, who's this guy? Who's Cyril? Why is he so close to Mandela? Does he have this influence out of nowhere? There's no starter for him where you're like, oh, okay, he started here, he did this, he did that in this college or varsity. That's how he, put himself in rooms like this or like that. Like, no one really knows. And also, like, how did South Africa get here? Because there was a deal that was made when the apartheid ended on 1994, I think.
We put ourselves in the shoes of the other side. If we were the National Party, we would be very reluctant to lose power, and therefore would fight against change, because they'd be fearful. These black people that they were always defined in a particular way, terrorists, communists, all these terrible things, you'll be fearful of them taking over. So we said, well, to address that fear, let's offer them the sunset clauses to say you will not lose power completely. And it meant not only retaining some of them in cabinet, it also retaining people in the public service, directors general, chief of police, chief of the military, people like that.
the debate was, it's a tactical question and let's give them that. And on the other part of the argument was that if we do that, we're going to be seriously limiting our ability to transform South Africa because these people are in the key positions.
I can remember Mandela with his mask-like features, always very grave and basically saying, we've got to go with this, my boys, we can't upset the ship at this stage.
The sunset clauses meant that apartheid structures would not be dismantled immediately. The foundation of the economy and property rights would remain intact, and the same people the ANC fought against would remain in their jobs for 5 more years. And once these 5 years were over, there was no clear proviso requiring that they be replaced.
You can't shut down on one day and open up on the next day with a new civil service. And that's where the first hurdles came about, because we then went into government with our previous oppressors and had to wage a struggle within government to execute our program, whilst they waged a struggle to maintain old relations and old conditions.
And there was a deal that was made, and these oppressors or people who were benefited from apartheid, still to this day they're still rich and they still have their wealth. And it's like, what was talked about in that room? What was the deal? Because these people didn't start these things or created them in a way that is, oh, okay, that you started this business for, like good. And these people used people to get where they are. Sometimes, like some of the things, like people died for them to have this wealth that they have.
Things haven't changed.
The whole transition process was orchestrated by the mineral energy complex. And with Harry Oppenheimer and to a lesser extent Johan Ropert, they organized everything. Early in the 1990s, there was regular lunches between Mr. Mandela and Harry Oppenheimer. When I became aware of it, I remember I was furious. For what must they have lunches? But these lunches developed into regular meetings at Little Brunthurst. It is the estate of Harry Oppenheimer. When too many people attend that secret meetings, the meetings were shifted to the Development Bank between Johannesburg and Pretoria. Normally at night, it was easy to park the cars at the back side of the building, and people on the N1 was not aware of that important meetings that was taking place there. And there, the ANC was convinced to forget about their ideas of socialism and large-scale government intervention, etc. You see, America was in the beginning of the 90s, in a mood of triumphalism. Their attitude was that the American model has won, and that everyone must adapt to the American model. So under the pressure of the South African business sector, with pressure from the Americans that have quite a vested interest in South Africa, the ANC was had to give in. You see, on the question, why have they accepted the new liberal model of the Americans? That is definitely not the correct model for South Africa.
They took this land from certain people and started their businesses, which they made out of people work so they can become wealthy and rich. And it's like, how are they still having or have this ownership of this land while they took it in a way that is really, really criminal and really like in a brutal way, because they chased away like people or or tribes just to have a certain land, right? So like that's still the questions, like how are they still rich till this day? How do they still own the land till this day? And the other thing is like also Mandela coming out of Robben Island and going to stay with the Oppenheimers raises a lot of questions. And also Ramaphosa linked with the Oppenheimers and the Milan family is really raises a lot of questions. And whenever you search his pictures, there's a lot of white people around him, so even when he went to speak with Trump, he went with like these rich white people, and it's like, especially like he went with Rupert, and it's like, what is this guy doing there? Because he doesn't know nothing about anything about government and how everything works, and he's just a billionaire, but he's there speaking for South Africans to the American president or government. And it's like,
are you talking about the Stellenbosch Mafia?
Very scared
of them, ne?
Very scared. Very, 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 very scared.
They essentially are running the country.
Yeah, it's theirs. It's theirs. None of us in this room woke up this morning without using something that comes from the Rupees.
Yeah.
And the Oppenheimers own all the minerals because the Oppenheimers are the descendants of Rhodes. And Rhodes is the man who discovered these minerals. The Oppenheimers actually designed the political system of South Africa to an extent that they were themselves directly members of Parliament of South Africa. So as and when the law changes to control the political dynamics and the landscape in South Africa, you must know is sponsored by the Oppenheimers because they control the politics of South Africa.
So how did the Guptas get away with it?
They didn't get away with anything. They were trying. They were trying. It's more complex than that. It's not this thing of tenders.
Yes.
No, the ownership of the strategic means of production. The ownership of not ownership of a newspaper and get a person to advertise in that newspaper. Therefore, you have captured the state. No. The question should be, who owns the strategic means of production? That includes the banks, the mines, the monopoly industries, the land.
Yes.
Yeah. Then the Guptas tried not to own any of these things. They tried that thing of the coal in Eskom with Glencoe, because generally Glencoe itself is corrupt and it has admitted to that. But otherwise, there was nothing with the Guptas. So the Guptas took business of white people here and there, and the white people were not happy with them. And they made a terrible mistake of wanting to take a Fireblade private airport from the Oppenheimer.
So, I don't know, guys, like what do you think? Do you think that is he a spy, or is he really our president, or he just doesn't care, or is he the front guy for someone behind the scenes, mafia, who really are controlling him and telling him what to say? So I don't know. I want to hear what you think down in the comment section. Like and subscribe to this channel if you want more content like this.